Alright, so what we can do right now is let's just explore that how you can refactor this code with using context, right? So over here, as you see, we are passing down all of our props. We have discussed this in the previous lecture, but now all of these components, basically we're passing down props to all of these components. Now let's just write that particular code which will help us to keep all of our data in one file, and all of your components will be able to get that particular data from just that one context, right? So what I will do is I'll just refactor everything. So now we'll not be passing any props, So let's say in my child as well, I'll just remove all the props from here. We do not need props at all. Okay, so I don't want to get the props over here as well. I'll just make everything as it was, right? Just bare without any props, because we are now trying to avoid prop drilling, right? So I'll not pass anything over here. I'll not pass anything over here as well, right? From the prop, will not pass anything, right? And in our family, let's remove all the message, right? Every message prop. We just want to get rid of props right now. Granddaughter, grandson, parent, let's get rid of all the props, and yes, like that. Alright, great. So right now you just see that we have app.jsx and we are not passing anything. So if we see our component right now, it's again bare, right? We do not have that particular data that we need to pass down. Now what we'll do is over here inside my prop drill, basically the folder, I'll create a new file, right? And I'll call this family context, right? So basically now we are seeing the introduction of context API, that how you can use the context and you can write good code, right? So family context.jsx. All right. So over here, what I have to do is I have to take help of this thing known as create context, right? So I'll just write two simple lines over here. I'll just say import React from React, right? Just a normal React import. And from here, what I can do, I can just export this thing, right? I'll just say export const family context, right? Family context, this particular variable, and inside this variable, I'll just use react.create context, this method, right? So what I'm doing over here is I'm actually creating a context. So this is going to be my family context, right? So this doesn't have anything, just a context has been created. And for this context, I'll just import this in my app.jsx right now, right? So over here, I have my family. Now I'll import my family context as well, right? I'll just quickly import my family context as well. And this family context is a variable. So I'll have to import it like this, family context, right? So I've imported my family context from my family context file, this one. So now I have a context created. Understand this, right? This is very easy. I mean, you will be able to understand this. So now I have this context. And what is the job of this context? This context can wrap your component, right? This family is your topmost component. So you need to wrap this family inside that particular context, right? So how are you going to wrap that? So over here, what we'll do is we'll just use our family context and we'll wrap it inside the family context, the family component, just like that, right? So whatever data you will pass in this context, this particular component will know about that data. And how will it know? Over here, we use something known as a provider, like that. You have to use provider, family context dot provider. So when you wrap any of your components inside the provider, so now that particular component will be able to provide, right? Will be able to provide data to any component that is there now, right? Any component that comes in contact with this family, that any component that needs data from this family context, you'll be able to pass it, right? And basically over here, you need to set a value property, right? Over here, you need to set a value property, and you just need to pass that particular property that you need to pass along in your components. And that property is family message, just like that, right? And this particular component is now wrapped, right? Where it is wrapped inside the family context provider, right? So now what we can do is we can go to our other components and we can say that, hey grandson or hey parent, just use this context and get the value from family context. That's it. Because what we have done over here is we have set the value over here, and this value will now be accessible to all of the components, right? And now how will you do it? How will you do it? So if I go to this family, right? If I go to family, or if I go to parent directly, right? Now see, I'll be directly passing it without passing it down from the family. I'll be directly passing it. So what I will do is I'll just import the family context over here, right? That okay, we have something known as the family context right now, and with this we'll need a hook, right? We'll need a hook, and that hook is known as useContext. That hook is known as useContext. So what this useContext will do? This useContext, we need to tell this useContext that what context to use, right? So basically what I will do, I'll just say that okay, const message is equal to useContext. And what context we need to use? We need to use the family context, right? And what does the family context have? What does the family context have? If I go to my app.jsx right now, so my family context is providing this value. My family context is providing this value. So if I go to my parent right now, so I have used the family context, and now I must be getting that object inside this message, right? So let's try this out. So if I go over here and if I say that parent, and I need my message dot, what was the property? If I just look at the property once, family name, right? So I just have to copy this, and if I just paste it over here like this, right? So let's see if you're getting the family name with parents or not, right? So you see parent invincibles, right? Super interesting, right? So over here what you did not pass any prop. What you did, you created a context, that okay, this will be my context, right? So this will be my family context, and inside this context my family component will be wrapped, right? First thing, inside this family context my family component will be wrapped completely, right? And then this particular context can be used everywhere with this value, whatever value you are passing. So what we can do, we went to the parent, we said okay, this is the context that we need to use, so use this context. And what was the value set? The value set was that object, right? So that object, this context, right, this use context hook will get that particular value prop for you, right? Will get that particular value prop for you, and this message will now have an object, and you can use it over here like that, right? Similarly, if you want to use it for grandson, granddaughter, what you will do, you will just go over here and you will say the same thing, that import family context, right? Then we need to import our use context hook. We need to import use context, right? So these two things you'll need these two things, right? And over here what you can say, that const message equal to, right, what? Use context. And what context we need to use? We need to use the family context, right? And over here we can just say granddaughter, and we can just write message dot family name. So if I go right now, you can see granddaughter invincible. So we did not have to pass it to the child, we can directly pass it to granddaughter now, right? And similarly you can do this for child, similarly you can do this for grandson. Let me do that for you as well. So if I go over here, I just need these two things, right? I just need these two things. So I'll just have to copy these two things, and I can just go over here and I can do that, right? So for my child, I can just pass the family context, and over here again I can use the same thing, that const message is use context, and I can use my family context, right? And over here I can just pass my message, right? Super interesting, right? Super interesting. Family name like that, right? So if you see, now your child also has that particular property, right? Similarly you can do this for grandson. I'll leave it up to you, right? Just try this out on your own, right? So this is how actually you can make use of this context, right? You can create a context, you can wrap your component inside it, and that particular value property will now be accessible by every component where you will use this context, right? Where you can use this context, it will be available everywhere. So you will not need to drill it down from one component to other component to other component. That's not necessary. You can just create a context, and that context will work as a single source of truth, and from that particular context you can get the data in any component that you want, right? So that's the beauty of using context API. Thank you.